All right, perfect. So, start things off. Could you tell me the name of your company, your name, and your position?
Sure. My name is AJ Shaver. I'm with Shaver Specialty Services and Sales, Inc. We kind of go by Shaver Sales, Inc. just as a short name because there's only so much fits on the checks and on the credit cards. I am the sole proprietor, owner, president, mechanic, Halverson salesman today is the hat that I'm wearing. There's a lot of different hats that go around, but I try to do the catch-all customer service and anything and everything in between. So.
Awesome. And how long have you guys been in business, or how long have you been in business?
Sure. We've been in business now. This is our 9th year. We got kicked off. It was kind of like late one year in October. We saw everything started for us around the Halverson wood processing attachment that's on the Toolcat behind me, and it was kind of, we bought the first one in May, and my wife and I were like biting our fingernails on a $264.63 payment. How are we ever going to do this? And maybe if we can sell like one or two of these a year, then that would pay for the diesel fuel and the bank payments and all that kind of stuff. And we were like blowing it out of the water, and I said there's just a lot of revenue here. So it was like October of that year that we said we have to form a business to handle the revenue, and everything else has just kind of taken off from there.
Awesome. What types of services do you offer?
Sure. So the services that we have, it's anything and everything that revolves around firewood. So whether it's, a traditional splitter, horizontal, if somebody's doing more custom bundle wood and wants a vertical splitter, we handle all that kind of stuff. And then of course with Bobcat, we do just a whole line of attachments from, like the inverted splitter that's on my MT, to a log grapple that's on the S300, rotating pallet forks on the telehandler, and like I said before, the attachment style processor that's on the Toolcat. And then we get into the big dumb stuff, like your full-blown processors, anything from bar saw to circle saw, and those range from 40 grand to over 200,000. So we kind of have something for the hobbyist and the seasoned professional. We even do log loader trailers. They're in the background. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up on that yet or not, but we'll do a walk around on everything that we've got out here. So.
And what do you like most about what you do?
Oh, what do I like most? I think the neat thing is, in 9 years of business, we have been able to not only use the machinery, but we've been able to learn the machines. So like part of our YouTube channel and the Facebook, and just when we talk with customers, it's the little tips and tricks that kind of set these machines apart from the others. Not that it's anything earth-shattering, but just little adjustments, little tweaks, little tips, and just talking with each customer, it's been kind of fun. I've kind of picked up an ear for people that are in different parts of the country. Like it's so funny. I don't know if it's an algorithm with Google or whatnot, but like one day it's all people from like the Midwest, like Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Then, we'll get a rash from like Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky, and then something from up in New England. It's neat to hear the different dialects and stuff that go around. I know you said you're from Georgia, so the Southern accent was kind of fun. But it's really talking to people, and there's times that we've had people call in for like a specific piece of equipment, but again, through the knowledge of using the pieces of equipment, I know what they do and what they're capable of. And sometimes what they're looking for isn't the right answer. Sometimes it's a bigger one, but sometimes it's also a smaller one. And just in talking, like they might want all the bells and whistles, but they have a budget that's on the smaller side. So we try to work with them and maximize what they have available and not really stress them out over a monthly payment or just, cutting one gigantic check. I mean, if they got 40 grand, we'll work with them and try to get them the biggest, fastest machine for 40 grand. And sometimes even, like a little semi-pro that's $9,900, sometimes that is out of reach too. So it's being sensitive to the customer's needs and what they want to do. We also get the phone calls where it's the success stories, where it's they've bought something smaller, and then they've been able to utilize that in business, make a bunch of money with it, and then upgrade to the next best one. And we've been able to do that quite a few times in 9 years now. And sometimes it's starting with the smaller Halverson and working to the 150. Sometimes it's grabbing this 150 for 20 grand and ending up with something big like mine for over 100. It just depends really what the person is, what the business model is. And so I think it's kind of neat being an a la carte niche service that we can kind of offer different things for different people and just kind of adjust on the fly and be able to talk about all the different things that we have out here on the woodlot.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, now to the fun side, the Bobcat. Let's see. It's a little better. All right, so what Bobcat equipment do you currently use on your job site?
Well, you see, it's kind of one of those things where there's a kid's storybook as far as which Bobcat piece of equipment that we use. There's a kid's storybook, and it's called Give the Mouse a Cookie. And I have a Southern customer that he and I were laughing about this. His kids are a little bit younger than mine, and he was actually reading that book to his daughter the night before we were talking about wood processors and things. And basically the story is, if you give a mouse a cookie, it's a cookie one night, then it's a cake the next night. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger as it goes. So like I said, 9 years ago, we started off, we didn't even own a skid steer, but we had the Halverson processor. We were renting a machine to operate the unit, and it was Chris from the Tunkhannock store. He's since passed away, but he was our salesman back then, and he set us up with the S300 that's behind me. There's over 6,000 hours on that piece of machinery, and it starts at -10 degrees every time. I don't want to say that it starts better than a new one, but you know, it's kind of a toss, yeah. So that was our first piece that we ever bought, and we used it for running the wood processing attachment. But you know, as far as the lineup goes, it's a Versahandler V518, so it lifts 5,000 pounds. It'll reach a maximum of 18 feet in the air. We have the rotating pallet forks on that, and that's my heavy lifter, and it's also my high lifter, because we have a Ram 4500 with a tall aluminum box on it. So if we're going to use those rotating pallet forks, we can either pick up like an IBC tote and rotate that 180 to empty it, or more commonly we use like the Firewood bags, and I have to get tall enough that I can flip them upside down. So that's where we use the Versahandler. Then the S300 is a great sight machine if we're bringing wood or log length out of the woods. It's also a nice heavy lifter. We have the frostbite style grapple on that from Brute Force. It's got a 48-inch max opening, and I think a clamp pressure over 3,000 pounds, so you can get a good fistful of wood. We've used it to load the live deck on the big processor. The Toolcat is probably my most versatile piece that we use around the woodlot. It'll run anything from the big debris bucket that we have underneath the disc cleaner, just for hauling out the bits and sawdust and the little pieces that come off the wedge, to pallet forks for moving the bags around, regular bucket just for grading up the mud that we've had because of all the rain. Really, it's just, it's a multi-purpose Swiss Army knife kind of machine. Probably what it really excels at doing is, what's on it is that Halverson wood processor, and you know, the gallons per minute are like right there on the low flow side. The pressure's perfect. It has all the buttons on the single-handed joystick controller for all the operations. It's heat, it's AC, the radio's playing, or my phone's going through the sound system. I can have a kid with me in the passenger seat, a customer that comes in from out of town to see something run. We use it for snow. I got a snow blower for it, or a plow. The traction control was the reason that I went with the new Toolcat, because the other one, you could have 3 tires on dry asphalt and it would still spin 1 tire that was on the ice puddle. But this one is an absolute animal. It goes anywhere. The UV34 XL, we actually got for doing a little hunting project with Patriots Cove and Jeff Swire. So they're a nonprofit organization. They're a certified 501c3. And they have trout fishing or fly fishing and hunting for injured veterans and first responders. One of his machines went down. They had a hunt coming up, and I didn't really need a reason to buy a side-by-side, but I use that for my reason. So it's the crew cab. I might update to an actual cabbed unit because we did a January hunt where the wind moved in and it was rainy, and I didn't want to be like a real yuppie with doors and heat, but we froze, so I might be upgrading to something like that. The MT85 also is probably my second most used piece of equipment around the woodlot. It just gets into those tight little places. We found it as a used machine. I really wanted a 100 because the extra lifting capacity out of it, hence the T595 weight kit that's bolted onto the back of it. So technically it's like an MT 1050 if you follow the counterweight. But again, it's got all the hydraulic pressure, it's got the right gallon per minute, and we actually have it set up this way because we're going to go up here and work at our neighbor's house. He has some ginormous rounds, and the attachment that's on it is an inverted splitter. So that has a 30-inch stroke on it, and I think it's like 36 tons at 3,000 PSI. So you can actually shear stuff off sideways. It has a 4-way in it. We can go 4, 6, 8, 10-way, 12-way, whatever you want to push through it, as long as it's has enough power and tonnage to force it through the bigger pieces of wood. Normally it's a 4-way or a 6-way. I tend to max things out. But yeah, so that runs that piece. We just bought the CT 1025. Our property here is 5 acres, about half of it's mowable. And this gives my son something to do when he stays off of my toys, so he has his own. But again, just the loader is nice. My wife can use it for getting around the garden, just weeding, you know, a little bit of mulch here, some topsoil there, whatever. It's just a nice multi-purpose piece with, you know, the nice tires you go across the lawn without tearing everything up. And then we come down to the E60, which is probably off of camera, but it pretty much lives between my big wood processor and the log pile. All it does is just grab and pull, and it just feeds that live deck because the processor's hungry. And we have the ditching bucket on it because I ran out of daylight and the rain, which I didn't run out of, but we were doing a lot of stuff down in the driveway. We actually ripped up the whole driveway. We were doing some foundation work around the garage, so I have the 12-inch trenching bucket on that. But we used it for pulling stumps out around the property. But pretty much it's mainly just, it's a loading machine, just using that big arm for moving a log or two at a time to feed the processor. So that's kind of my lineup and kind of how we started and what we're into now. So
Awesome. Now, and I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but just to elaborate a little bit more, what would be your favorite piece of Bobcat equipment you own and why? I know
sure. Yep. No.
about it a little bit, but a little bit more in depth, I guess, on the Toolcat.
Yeah, it's the Toolcat is pretty much my favorite piece to run. I kind of say I have this OCD disorder where it should be CDO, that way it's alphabetically correct. My brain only lets me buy white and orange, so hence all of the white and orange. Nothing else is really tagged in there. I don't know, like ever since like I was a kid, it just seems, I don't know, my first machine that I ever ran was probably a New Holland, then like a John Deere skid steer, but it's just something about the Bobcats that I always liked. I don't know why. They are one tough animal. But yeah, the Toolcat, we've owned probably 6 of them, I think. Buy them, fix them up, sell them, you know, just kind of that type of thing. But, you know, when I was doing my homework, like I said, on this newest generation that is a 23, it was the revised traction control that we were after because our entire property is on a side hill. Yes, this up here is nice and level, but it wasn't. And just for doing the snow plowing and different things, we wanted the ability to have all 4 tires grab on and drive. And we've picked up stuff heavy enough that the back tires are off the ground. It's on the videos, it's on YouTube. I can't hide them anywhere, so no warranty claims yet. Yeah, we've gone across the woodlot, you know, and where I know for a fact the other one would not have done that. And I wanted the hydraulic quick coupler that we didn't have on anything else. We had the high flow. I did not have the 7-pin connection, and it's that 7-pin connection that allows us to run the Halverson processor, so we can either do their 140B machine or the 150 machine. And like I said earlier, you're sitting down, you're in the cab, it's a relaxed state. You have a steering wheel if you want to drive around, you just step out of the side door. Now the model that's on this one is a 150, but this is the newest version is a left hand. So traditionally, like where you see the yellow saw, that's normally on the right hand side. So you would have to look around the boom and stuff. So if you've seen previous videos on the YouTube channel, that's why it looks different, because it is. So this way it puts the wedge and the saws directly in front of the operator. If something isn't quite right, you have to step out of the cab to adjust something, it's literally step out and you're right there, not a walk around the machine. And it's nice this way for the telehandlers that have the gallons per minute to do it. There's some other things that have the doors on the side. I know I'm on a Bobcat channel, but like your JCBs, your Volvos, different things where it's the offset, you know, cab. Those work out really nice. You know, like again, heat, AC. We did a video. It was snowing. It was warm. I was in it the other day when it was like 85. The AC was cranking. It was cool. The radio's going. I mean, it's a comfy machine. It's quick. It's a 2-speed. And like I said, it's probably the Swiss Army knife that we use every day up here in some capacity. And again, when I go back to my CDO disorder, that's my hinge pin. And so everything has to match, right down to having a white truck. It's just what it is. I've thought about doing like a black and orange pinstripe on it just to really tie it in, but it's a work truck. So,
we're all for it.
I would say that the Toolcat and probably followed by the MT are my top two. So
Awesome. Is there, so why in particular did you choose Bobcat?
I don't know. I think the choice on the Bobcat brand, I don't really know. I think it kind of goes back to, you know, if somebody wants a copy of something, they'll say a Xerox. If you want a tissue, it's a Kleenex. And I think the name Bobcat, it's just, they're so popular. It's just, even though it's a skid steer, people just use the name Bobcat. And I don't know. It's just, I think it all comes down to serviceability. You know, there's other manufacturers that are out there, but they're down in Wilkes-Barre, Hazleton, out in, you know, Clark Summit, Scranton. But when it comes down to the actual service on stuff, and we have had the Toolcat back for, you know, some warranty stuff, but the team at Bartron's in Tunkhannock, they're friendly, you know, and I think that makes all the difference, you know, with equipment purchase. And I hope that's why people buy the Firewood stuff from us, because it's me that answers the phone and I can go over stuff and get them warranty things or order repair parts if that's what's needed. But I think it just comes down to the team that stands behind the product. And Bartron's has been in Tunkhannock for a long time, ever since I was a little guy. And I just know the store's been up there. Chris did us well with the S300, you know, back when we needed something. Ron's been great with the Toolcat and the new CT. The other stuff we've managed to buy, you know, used online and whatnot, but we've had, you know, parts and different things to order. So dealing with Mike and the whole sales team there, you know, behind the counter, and it's just been, it's a good experience the whole way around. And I think it's the teamwork that follows the product is pretty much why I stay with the Bobcat brand.
Awesome, love it. And then last question. This is the stumper. Is there any other Bobcat machine that interests you that you currently do not own?
You know, I don't know. I think we pretty much have like one of everything, and it was never really designed to be this big. It was just, I don't know, the accountant says spend money, so we did. Like, again, you have to bend my arm. Like, okay, deal. I don't know. I think my son was talking about one of the new little articulated loaders the other day. So that's probably the only thing that I don't really have lined up in the arsenal. You know, with the new CT 1025, that kind of fills the mowing need. And like I said, our property's on a side hill, so the zero-turn mowers kind of turned into like the Jamaican bobsled team, so I can't do that. We tried that. It did not work out well, so I need something that's four-wheel drive to billy goat on the hills. So yeah, probably somewhere in that articulated loader, but I'm not sure that we really have a need for it, but that's probably the only thing that I don't have that's on the website currently.
No, that's great. That's great. No, the first, especially that first part, whenever just like don't really have a need for anything else. That's perfect. Awesome.